Senator Tester.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank you for being here, Administrator. I want to talk to you broadly about the Superfund program. There are 17 active sites in Montana, 1,300 nationally, that are in the process of being cleaned up. Your budget says nationally 22% of our population lives within 3 miles of a Superfund site, and you also talk about how successful and impactful the work of the program is on the health of families and children who live and grow up in these areas. In the last Congress, we worked together, members of this committee, in a bipartisan way to provide EPA one of the largest funding increases for any federal agency, largely to accelerate and expand the work of the Superfund program. In your opening statement, you talk about moving forward, not moving backward. However, your budget request for the coming fiscal year is only 25% of the FY23 allocation. Now, look, I've sat on this committee for a while. I've chaired a few committees, and I've been in Democrat and Republican administrations, and they both tend to play games. The truth is we don't play games with Superfund sites. There was a lot of funding made available through a process called the Bipartisan Infrastructure Plan and the regular appropriations. We did that to address Superfund problems quicker, not to reduce annual appropriations. Can you explain to me how the hell you can justify a 75% decrease from last year, because we haven't had a 75% decrease in Superfund demand?
Well, Senator, thank you for the question, and absolutely, I agree with you that we don't need to move backwards and don't need to play any games. The budget for this year is based on the transition of the traditional program to the Superfund tax receipt program. And so this was based on Treasury's forecast that a collection of $2.5 billion in Superfund tax receipts would be achieved in 2023, which will be available for use in our 2024 Superfund program. So we shifted from a traditional program that would ask for these allocations.
So let me ask it to you this way. So you're gonna get it from self-funding methods, is what you're saying, the tax that you guys apply to Superfund sites.
Yes.
So your overall top dollar figure that you're gonna spend on Superfund cleanup this next year is going to be as high or higher than what you spent last year?
Predictions would say that it's going to be higher than what we did last year, which is why in this budget we're asking for a few more staff that we can keep going.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And we're going to hold you accountable to it.
Okay.
Administrator Regan, I want to talk specifically about waste-in-place remedies for Superfund sites. We've got a lot of these sites in Montana. Butte, Smurfitstone, there are others. I can tell you that a lot of folks in these communities and across the state are really concerned about waste-in-place remedies. Last year when you testified before this committee, I discussed this issue with you. I sent you a detailed letter outlining my concerns about this remedy. Guess what? I didn't get a response. So we're going to start again, okay? Can you tell me how community members concerned about waste-in-place remedies can raise concerns with your agencies and receive honest answers, and answers that don't come from the corporation that's responsible for the waste-in-place in the first place?
Well, number one, we should definitely get you that response in a much quicker time, and we'll do that. I'll circle with staff.
Even a response period, not only in quicker time, I didn't even get one, okay?
All right, point taken.
All right.
Community engagement, we have beefed up our community engagement. We at EPA need to be on the ground in these communities, walking through.
Gotcha. And we're going to get to that point in a second on the community engagement. Tell me how, short of community engagement, that if I'm a concerned citizen about waste in place, that I could actually get an answer from the EPA when the senior U.S. Senator couldn't get an answer from the EPA.
Well, number one, I'll check with my staff, but I believe we have been on the ground, and I believe we've beefed up our community engagement opportunities, because we want to be able to explain the science, the specific science. These are specific remedies on a case-by-case basis. And listen, I agree with you 100%. People need to feel confident.
If they're not bought in, you can't do your job.
I agree with that.
Okay.
I agree with that.
So tell me how the EPA verifies waste-in-place remedies are actually going to be viable over the long haul.
Well, number one, we believe and stand by the science in the waste in place, right? Number two, we have to explain that.
So where's the science coming from?
Well, number one is from the programs, the Superfund program. We have some of the best.
Okay.
We have some of the best scientists and the best remedial experts in the world.
Does it include feedback from universities?
It absolutely does. It includes feedback from universities.
Neutral parties to verify the science?
Neutral parties, stakeholders. I'm not saying that we take all this information in, and no, we don't take everybody's advice 100% because we're the experts.
Does the verification include things like test wells that are being drilled and sampling that's being done and how flood mitigation is being planned for?
Let me get back to you, because the answer from my vantage point is it should be, and I believe it is, because we have to do all of these things to ensure that when you store waste in place for hundreds of years, that it is safe for every community.
And by the way, this isn't in the middle of a prairie with no water around them. Most of these Superfund sites are on water.
Absolutely.
Okay? Now I want to talk about community engagement, specifically as Butte comes about, the Butte Superfund site. 2 nights ago, there was a community meeting where residents of Butte had the opportunity to express concerns about a lack of progress in effectively cleaning up the community. The readout from that meeting couldn't be clearer. Folks in Butte are frustrated with the process, and that is being kind when I say just frustrated. I'll be blunt. Mr. Administrator, you need to fix it. You need to make sure this agency is listening to folks on the ground. If it's happening in Butte, it's happening everywhere. I'm going to tell you, I could read you the news report from that meeting in Butte. There was nobody that stepped up and patted the EPA on the back and said, you guys are doing a good job. If they did, it was never reported. And quite frankly, you've got, and this has been going on a long time, man. I mean, Butte wired this country in copper, and it created one of the largest, if not the largest, Superfund site in this country. And you've got Butte, who's an incredibly resilient community, that are really sick and tired of being jacked around. And so I need your commitment that we will do, you will do, your people under you will do, the people in the communities, the people in the region are going to do their best, not only to listen, but to react to what they're hearing. Could I get that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And our people came back from that meeting in the 1st of May with that feedback taken to heart. So we're prepared to engage, and we are engaging, Senator.
I just want to tell you, this has been going on for a while. I mean, like a long time, like before I got here and even longer. And I don't think the EPA has done a good job of listening to people for any time in that period. And now, you know, because there's 2 ways to listen. You can listen and ignore, or you can listen and take that feedback and try to do something positive for the community. That's what I want you to do.
Well, and let me just, in defense of the staff, right? I'm proud of this staff. And let me say, before the $5 billion from the bipartisan infrastructure law, which we really appreciate from you all, this program was underfunded just like every other program. And so our ability to do outreach and tend to all of these Superfund sites all across the country.
We are way over, but I'm just going to tell you something. The Forest Service came in and talked about underfunding. We fixed that. We're moving forward. We're not moving backward.
I agree with you.